Are you okay?
Hi. Hi, stream. I was so wrapped up in Cirrus's technical difficulties that I forgot to hit go live.
Oh my god. So you assured me that your stream heard everything you said, but I don't think they did.
My stream heard everything, right? Right, stream? You guys heard everything, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. They must have heard everything.
God damn it! What a shit show we are today.
We are doing our best, and our best is really not enough.
No, not tonight. It's not. No. It's been a long day. It's been a long week. It's been a long week for you as well.
It has. It started early Thursday, and it's my week's not going to end for another 3.5 days, probably minimum.
Okay. So for my stream, now that you can hear me, I have a Discord, and Cirrus is there. The link is in the description. And I'm sure I said something more interesting and clever about it while I was not live.
Probably. You said something about me coming in there and somebody saying, "Hey, look, it's my favorite VTuber," and then you were just like, "Wow, thanks."
Yeah, and I was telling everybody that no, it's Cirrus's fault that we're having technical difficulties this time, which would have been absolutely true if I had remembered to hit go live.
And then I said something that got you angry.
Yeah, no, we're not going there.
We're not repeating that.
We're not repeating that. Neuromptopus has the right idea. If you're a member on my channel, you get to use the tech emoji and throw that at me.
Jesus Christ.
Oh. Okay.
So how's life, Rhino?
It's busy.
It's busy.
Yeah.
I mean, you have an army of gremlins in your house. I imagine it would be busy.
Oh, yeah. A friend took them somewhere today, and like 2 minutes before the stream was supposed to start, there were like 4 kids that don't belong to me inside the house. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, she said she was going to drop my kids off back. I was just going to be like, okay, go to bed now. And as I'm saying this, there's one right over there. You haven't taken the dog for a walk yet? I told you to do that 20 minutes ago. Okay, so yeah, this is life with children.
Don't you know? There's a 30-minute buffer on when you ask for something and when it may or may not be received.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Okay, well, people are actually showing up in my Discord now, so hi, guys. Anyway, shall we actually, like, read some articles and crap?
Maybe we should do the thing we normally do on Wednesdays.
Maybe we should.
When I'm not in the hospital and you're not doing technical difficulties.
Yeah. Well, no, the technical difficulties was yours. I just didn't hit the button.
That's a technical difficulty.
That's not a technical difficulty.
Okay, fine, you're right. It's a skill issue.
It's a competency difficulty.
ID10T error.
Department of Education at Baylor University is exempt from protecting LGBTQ students from faith-based harassment. And the elephant is pointing out it's a Sonic onesie.
Sonic onesie.
Sanic.
Should probably.
Satanic onesie.
I need to take... There we go.
So yeah, this is the Baylor University, Christian University, but they are in the middle of a lawsuit with a student who is being discriminated against for being queer, and being harassed for being queer. And in the middle of this lawsuit, they do a separate thing where they petition the government to be like, hey, can we have an exemption from protecting our students against sexual harassment because it's against our religious beliefs to protect them from that?
And they've actually managed to get it?
Yeah.
I have a question right now. Is it ethical to egg a school?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Well, no, because it's not the janitor's fault that they're being dicks like this. You know it's going to fall to them to clean it up. They're like,
I know.
The people that are actually doing shit like that are not the ones. They're never
the ones that actually deal with anything like that.
Yeah. So as satisfying as that would be, that would not actually solve any issues.
Jesus Christ. That bugs the crap out of me though, because you basically get to say, hey, if one of our kids in our school that it's a private school, so one of our kids that pays to be at the school
Yeah.
that paid to be there suffers as a result of being here. Not only can we not do anything about it, but we won't do anything about it, and we're gonna go as far as to ask the government to give us a special ticket that says we don't have to do anything about it.
Yeah.
For even longer. So the kid literally just has no recourse but to sit there and deal with it.
Yep. So yeah, this is the first school to receive an exemption that will allow it to keep receiving taxpayer dollars even if it's allowing certain kinds of anti-LGBTQ harassment. Now, this is not discrimination, this is harassment. Discrimination's in there too. Naromda gifted won the watering hole membership. YouTube does gifting now?
Wait, YouTube has gifted memberships now?
Apparently YouTube has gifted memberships now.
Oh.
Welcome, John73 John.
They're trying everything in their power to catch up to Twitch. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And it might be working.
My Stream Elements bot is also having technical difficulties as it's repeating itself about John being a member.
Yeah, because it's well, I think the Stream Elements bot hasn't been updated to deal with, if that's a very new thing, then the Stream Elements bot is probably not programmed to deal with what it's reading as a redundancy.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I might have just deleted someone's message. Oh.
So, and Twitch does super chats now in form of hype chat. So YouTube and Twitch are slowly becoming the same platform. Got it.
So apparently when you gift a membership, it goes to a random person in the audience?
Yeah, that's one of the ways gifting works on Twitch.
And then Evelyn Vale Winters, I'm sorry, I accidentally deleted your message. It said, I think people have to agree to being gifted memberships first. Which I don't know what that means yet. And YouTube's been doing this weird thing recently where, like, when I click on the chat to highlight the message, Species is the bot pulling a hey listen. I didn't even see that reference when I clicked on it. I just clicked randomly, which could have ended badly, but it didn't, because that's a good reference. I like that. But now, like, when I click on something to highlight it on my stream, it behaves as though I right-clicked it, even though it's a left click. And it's frustrating as fuck because I always get the context menu popping up and then I accidentally do things like delete people's messages for no reason.
But you had a reason for messaging for deleting their message, though. The skill issue.
No, it was, oh, yeah, okay, shut up. Why do I let you on my stream?
So it's gonna sound terrible when I say it this way, but the real reason is convenience.
I mean, you're not entirely wrong.
Like, that's not an inaccurate way of wording it.
There is more to it than that. But yes, because it just works and I don't have to schedule a guest every week. Okay. All right. Look, I've got members now. They're like chatting away. Use your emojis.
Use them so everybody else gets jealous.
Use the tech one so you can... Anyway, so this began when Veronica Bonifacio Penales, I assume that's pronounced Penales or something like that, filed a lawsuit against Baylor, and in the lawsuit it called on the government to end its complicity in the abuses and unsafe conditions thousands of LGBTQ plus students endure at hundreds of taxpayer-funded religious colleges and universities.
I'm just going to go ahead and say right now there should not be any taxpayer funding or subsidies of any kind for private schools, religious or otherwise.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And the public ones should be free.
The good news is the public ones are up until, if you discount pre-K and you discount college, at least those ones are free in America for now. There are a lot of Republicans who are trying to change that one at the very least. Or who are trying to get an abolishment. I've seen some that have been trying to argue for, like, abolishment of public education in favor of only private.
Apparently, the person who I accidentally deleted the message, apparently I put them in a timeout too. They're in my Discord being like, I'm in a timeout just for trying to explain how to have GIFs. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not inept. I'm not inept. I'm not inept.
You're not inept?
Back to the article. So people are like leaving Bibles outside her dorm room with the stone the gays to death passages highlighted, with notes reading "I'm praying for you" and notes calling them slurs, stuff like that. The kinds of things that the school should take action against.
And the school is basically doing everything in their power to say, no, that's not our problem. We don't have to do anything about that. Like, wait, so it's not your job as let's go ahead and call them what they are here, landlords. You're the landlord for a rented room, right? Ignoring the school part of ignoring all that. You're the landlord for a rented room, and your argument is that it is not your job to provide a safe environment for a tenant.
Yeah.
That's
their argument.
That's stupid. That would be
stupid. The tenant has slightly different religious beliefs than me. Like, slightly different, because keep in mind, this is a private Christian college. Like, if you are going to a private Christian college or university, you have put effort into going specifically to a Christian one.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not like there's a huge difference of religion. It's just a minor difference on the acceptability. Well, I mean, what should... Okay, it's a fairly major difference. It shouldn't be a minor difference. It should be a game killer. But, like, this is someone that is the same religion as you and wants to go to your religious institution because they agree with you most things religious-wise, but you're like, no, we're going to allow people to harass you because you disagree with me about whether or not gay people should be allowed to exist.
So, this one gets me a lot because I know that the back asswards comment that's going to be made, because when this goes up on at least my channel, I know at least 4 people who are going to say the comment, well, if she didn't want that harassment, she should have just gone to a different school. Like, well, hold on, but you're telling me that it's okay for somebody who is a Christian and pays money to a school to deal with harassment at that school, and the school to then seek a basically get out of jail free coupon that says they don't have to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. You're okay with somebody paying money and then dealing with this shit, and you're okay with somebody who's of the exact same religion, because you can't do the whole, well, she should have just gone to a different school. She didn't want to be harassed by Christians doing what Christians do.
It's not like these are gay atheists being like, let's invade the Christian schools, get harassed, and then complain about it. It's a Christian.
This is a Christian person who just happens to be LGBTQ.
Yeah. Adam Broughton, before I forget to address it, he says, did you hear about the controversy affecting LGBTQ students at schools in New Brunswick? I have not heard about that one. I'll have to look into it. All right. So, yeah. They also wouldn't let her form an LGBTQ club, which that one is a little bit more like... like, that's not actually harassment. That's like the school's policies about what kinds of clubs they're allowed to have. So, like, that one, it's dickish and petty to not allow the club to be formed. But at least there is... at least it's not, like, completely... I don't know. I'm trying to defend a bad decision, and it's not going well.
There's a difference between a decision being bad because it's petty, and a decision being bad because it is actively assisting harassers.
Yes.
There's a spectrum of dumb bad shit you can do as a school. And on the less harmful end of the spectrum is, we don't want you to organize this club. And on the worst end of the spectrum, there is, fuck you, I hope the death threats catch in at some point.
Yeah, so what Hammond said, basically everything we've just said in the last couple minutes. He says, well, the school can set its own rules in this regard. That doesn't give them, so that with regards to forming clubs, that doesn't give them the right to ignore allegations of harassment. LGBTQ students go to Baylor precisely because they believe there's no contradiction between being LGBTQ and being Christian. That's not an invitation for harassment, though. Yes, yet that's what the lawsuit said was happening. Pinella said she eventually stopped reporting incidents to the school because their response was always that she should go to counseling.
So she needs to go somewhere else so that a counselor can tell her how to cope with this, as opposed to them doing anything about it. Wouldn't it be interesting? Wouldn't it be interesting if, and this is just me as a very like escalation theory, self-defense minded person, wouldn't it be funny if she put just a hidden camera on her door And so she could see the people who are actually doing this, and then just started making those other people feel just as unsafe. In however she decided to do it, whatever messages, anything she wanted to leave on the door, how I would be curious to see how the school would respond to that. Because if they were to have the special pleading case that no, it's okay for her to get harassed, but it's not okay for the other students to get harassed, that'd be an interesting layer to all of this. Yeah. Not that anybody should ever have to do something like that,
no,
but just it is one of those areas my brain goes is like, how far down the apologetics rabbit hole can we get someone to go before they just admit they're a fucking asshole?
Yeah. So Linda Livingston filed a formal request with the Department of Education for an exemption from the Title IX rules. Remember, Title IX, that's about sexual harassment. With the Department of Education Title IX exemptions, arguing that the complaints against them would force the school to violate its religious beliefs. So protecting its students from harassment would violate their religious beliefs.
And you need different religious beliefs.
Yes.
But like, I'm sorry. Like what
in the complaints they talk about like here's the actions that they're asking us to take that would violate our religious beliefs. Number one, the university's alleged decision to Upsilon. That was the it's like Gamma Alpha Upsilon was the name of the group that she wanted to start because that spells gay in Greek letters.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, okay, fine. They say no to that because that would go against their religion. Stupid choice to make, but whatever.
But if you have a large enough subsection of students in your school that are of your religion that are gay and don't see a problem with that, which one of you is right about it being against the religion? And how do you figure that out?
That's an internal discussion. I don't care. Number three is the university's alleged decision to pressure university media to not report on LGBTQ events and protests in September and October of 2021. Okay, again, I don't see how censoring your media is going to be helpful to you in any way, especially just like with regards to, hey, this event happened. But like, that's your prerogative. Who fucking cares? But number two is the university's alleged response to notice that students were subject to harassment based on their sexual orientation and or gender identity. That's the big one, where it's like, you're not responding to your students that are being harassed. And you're saying that not protecting your students from harassment is due to your religious beliefs. And like, if those are your religious beliefs, maybe you shouldn't get special exemptions for breaking legitimate laws and trying to protect your students for that.
Well, because there's already precedent for holding schools accountable for trying to protect their students in dorms, especially since there are a lot of colleges in America that have the rule of like the first year you're in college, you have to be in the dorms which is, I think, is a stupid rule, but there are some that have it. So you have to have those protections in place. If we're going to make you be here, or even if you're not forced to be here, if you pay money to be here, it needs to be a safer place. It's stupid to be like, hey, we want to be held to all of the same standards as an education provider, but at the same time, we would like to be exempt from fulfilling our side of the fucking deal.
Well, I mean, from their I think this is from their petition to the DOE. It says, for the above reasons, the university requests assurance of its exemption from the following regulatory provisions to the extent that they are inconsistent with the university's religious tenets. Number 34 is, or no, sorry, that's just the how you find it in the big old book of legal codes, is sexual harassment. And they've got a footnote there. Specifically, the university requests assurance that the belief in or practice of its religious tenets by the university or its students would not constitute unwelcome conduct under the department's definition of sexual harassment under Title IX. So basically what I'm getting from that is their argument is, if you're going to be LGBTQ and come to our university, we're using the "you were asking for it" defense should you get harassed.
Of course they were asking for it. Look at what gender they were wearing. Wait, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, and notably, this is Joe Biden's DOE. So, like, I mean, we all know that this election is going to come down to Trump or Biden, and absolutely Biden over Trump, 100%. But, like, come on, man. He's supposed to be more progressive than that. Like, he's the one that he campaigned on, like, standing with trans people.
The most he has done, honestly, was lifting the trans ban in the military. Like, I know there's some other things that he's done, but that's the biggest thing.
He has a much better track record than the people who are like, oh, you know, I'll vote for Biden if I have to, but I really don't want. Like, the people that are like really down on him ignore a lot of the actual good stuff that he's done, because he does have a lot under his belt. But he's also like, this is his DOE. He should have appointed better people that wouldn't make decisions like this. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
I never had the opportunity to go to college. But I imagine if I were in a similar situation to this, I don't honestly know what I would do outside of like beginning to resort to purely retaliatory things. Because if the people who are supposed to protect you have basically told you, nope, hands off, this is your problem to solve.
So, yeah, just to finish off the article, Baylor University also has huge issues with their football team raping people. So, like, in 2017, there was a lawsuit against the school that alleged that members of the football team committed 52 acts of rape between 2011 and 2014. That lawsuit was settled out of court, which to me says that there was good evidence that it happened, and they were doing a payoff to not have to fess up to it. That's what that says to me. Like, that might not actually be the case.
That is disturbing.
Mm-hmm. 52 acts of rape in, was that 3 years?
That means that every single month they had between 1 and 2 cases. Every single month.
Yes. And like, this is the school that's now saying, hey, can we have legal exemptions from protecting our students against sexual harassment? Like,
no.
How about you look at that track record and be like, no, you guys have a terrible track record with sexual harassment. We need to, like, the government at this point has a vested interest in protecting its own citizens. Lord of Us collects says 1 rape every 3 weeks on average.
Yeah, basically. That is a, if you are a member of the staff at this school, after something like this, you should probably be ashamed of the establishment that signs your paycheck.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're the football coach.
Now, let's be honest, if you're the football coach, you're probably
involved.
You're probably less ashamed, and you're more panicking about when the next time this is going to happen is.
Fair point.
Because then your career might be on the line. I don't think we have any churches that send football coaches over to Chile when they do shit like this.
All right, next up, we've got Jordan Peterson, lost in court.
Wait. I didn't know about this. What?
Jordan Peterson was ruled against in court. He has to go to social media training.
What? What is social media training? I've never heard of this.
I don't know. This is the first I've heard of it as well, but I just, like, when I saw that, I haven't really had I just saw this today. Like, it was first published 3 hours ago. I actually had to get this from the Wayback Machine because I found it on, it's from the Globe and Mail. And it was open when I was preparing for Twit tweets. And then when I was just about to go live, like just before I connected to you and everything, I just checked that my articles were all set up properly and was like, oh, this one is now behind a paywall. I was like, so, like, this is a developing story, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't have time to, like, do the background research into it. And I don't think I highlighted anything in here anyway. It's not a big story, but
We can read the entire thing on this one probably because it's only a few paragraphs.
So, an Ontario court has ruled against a controversial psychologist, Jordan Peterson, Wednesday, upholding a regulatory body's order that he undergo social media training after several complaints about his online statements. The Ontario Divisional Court ruled that Dr. Peterson must complete a coaching program as prescribed by his professional regulatory college. So last November, the College of Psychologists of Ontario said in an online decision that Dr. Peterson would be required to complete a coaching program to address issues regarding professionalism in public statements. The decision was made by the college's Inquiries, Complaints and Reports Committee in response to complaints about statements Dr. Peterson made online. So this
he's going to use this as part of his persecution complex on Daily Wire, right?
He already is. He's already tweeting up a storm about this. I didn't pull any of those tweets because they're fairly boring for him. They're not as unhinged as he normally is. He didn't hit enter in weird random spots. Anyway, Dr. Peterson is a clinical psychologist and a professor emeritus of psychology at the University of Toronto who's become known around the world for his series of books, online lectures, and podcast. No, he became famous for opposing using correct pronouns for people.
The Bill C-16 debacle.
Yeah, that's what made him famous, and there's still a website that tracks how many people have been jailed for Bill C-16, and that number is still 0. But Peterson was very adamant that this is the beginning of the end. We're going to go to prison if we use the wrong pronouns. And
so what's funny is that like there's the fallout from him doing that, right? The fallout from that has been exactly what somebody like Peterson, who would then go on to be employed by the Daily Wire, it's exactly what you would expect someone like Peterson would want. I've had people come into my chat and then go, at least we're not like Canada where people get fined for using the wrong pronouns. And
which
I'm like,
is not something that's ever happened.
I'm like, wait, when did that happen? When has that happened? And they're just like, no, it happens, bro. Trust me. And then I'll go on a 5-minute rant about Bill C-16 for a second, and they'll be like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, it's so weird when you say bullshit to somebody who actually knows about this. It's almost like we can smell your bullshit.
And I used to say that I think Peterson was smart enough that like it was clearly a grift. He knows that he's lying and everything. But like from his behavior on Twitter, I feel like I've changed my mind on this. He's just an idiot. I think he's an idiot who's good at using big words to sound smart.
I think there's like when I think of somebody like Ben Shapiro, I think somebody who's smart enough to know he's bullshitting. But
I don't know. Like the guy who said that you can sell your house when you're flooding.
So
you think he's intelligent?
Let me be clear. I think people like the Shapiros of the world, and even Ben Shapiro himself, started out smart enough to know they were doing a grift, and then at some point down the line, liked the smell of their own farts, and then started taking the bullshit that they were trying to sell.
Yeah.
And I think that happens to a lot of con artists.
Yeah. So Dr. Peterson has also become a well-known figure on Twitter, where he frequently posts... I like how they use Twitter without correcting it to X. This is a Today article. It was published today.
I'm very, very tired of a lot of the articles that I've been reading for stuff recently have had like Twitter X, the
X
platform formerly known as Twitter.
Yes.
Every single one I've read is like, I don't...
Just call it Twitter.
I'm just
X is
call
stupid.
it Twitter.
Nobody's gonna adopt X permanently. That's just stupid.
Nobody says repost. They all say retweet. Yeah. We all know what it is.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's become a well-known figure on Twitter, where he frequently posts anti-transgender content, climate change denial, and criticism of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. In social media posts, Dr. Peterson said he was informed that if he did not complete the training, he could lose his license to practice in Ontario. Good. Fucking good. A professional psychologist should not be out there posting conspiratorial bullshit. Like, Star Raptor Flock says, stop dead naming X. Yeah, I will stop dead naming. I will consider.
Star Raptor, you've been timed out of so many of my streams. It's okay to shut up.
Oh, is that actually? I thought that was a joke.
No.
Okay.
So it might be a joke.
They might just be a troll that's taking it too far.
I personally know Star Raptor.
Okay.
And I know, and they like shit stirring a lot.
Okay.
They're also a dick.
Okay, so what I was going to say is that, like, when Twitter adds dead naming back into the terms of service as a violation, then I'll consider not dead naming them. Because, like, at the moment, it's just free speech, right? Anyway. So yeah, no, he could lose his license to practice in Ontario if he doesn't do social media training. He disputed this decision, saying it infringed on his right to free expression and asked for judicial review with the Ontario Divisional Court. It's like, yeah, basically they're asking, like, could we just have a very, very low bar, basic level of professionalism in public if you are, like, advertising yourself as a psychologist?
Otherwise, like, because you end up looking bad in front of the rest of the bar. Yeah. You just look terrible.
It's like Rudy Giuliani still has freedom of speech. He can still say whatever he wants, but he can't be a lawyer and do it. Because he said stuff and did stuff that made him lose his license to practice law.
Yep, that's what we do. That's what we do when lawyers do stupid shit. And that's what we should do when people who call themselves professors do stupid shit.
Oh, and I fully support the idea of taking people's PhDs away when they do stuff like John, is it John Wells or John Wellington, the creationist who went to university specifically to get a PhD in biology so that he could use that PhD to then trash talk evolution. Didn't
Georgia do the exact same thing?
Georgia Prudhomme? I don't know if she was... I don't know her... I know I think it's Jonathan Wells. I think that's his name. Like, he is on record as saying that I went into my PhD specifically so that I could use my PhD to prove evolution wrong. Whereas, like, normally the AIG people... Like, Jonathan Wells is kind of bottom of the barrel creationist who, like, not even AIG will touch. But like the AIG people at least try to put a patina of believability on it and be like, oh, well, I was not, like, they wouldn't necessarily say I was an atheist, but like, oh, I wasn't a, fully committed Christian or whatever, and I thought evolution might be a thing, and then I went to school and they tried to teach me all this evolution stuff. They try to frame it that way. But yeah, no,
it's the liberal takeover of colleges.
Yeah, no, I feel that people like that who use their credentials specifically to undermine the very work that made their credentials possible, they should lose their credentials.
Because at that point, we know that you earned it in bad faith.
Yeah,
we know that you...
Even if you didn't earn it in bad faith, you're not using it correctly anymore. You're using it as a decoration after your name in order to further an agenda that has nothing to do with it.
Because like we take away medical license, we disbar people from the bar. We have all kinds of institutions that will knock you out of their running because you do stupid stuff like this. So yeah, I think PhD programs should definitely count on that.
I mean, it'd probably be like a whole lot of work to like actually keep track of these people, but
not really though. Think about it. You would have to do something profound enough and stupid enough that people would know about it. Like,
yeah, but that's the thing. We run in weird circles. Most people don't know who Dr. Georgia Prudhomme is.
I mean,
most people don't know who Jonathan Wells is.
That's fair. We do kind of have a... look, atheist
okay,
YouTube is a niche.
So I replaced you with my partner last week, and it was a little bit awkward because there were so many things that because last week was a really big news week. I was like, I'm glad you got the care that you needed, but I was sad to not have you there because I specifically set up a bunch of things being like, ooh, I'm going to say this to Cyrus, and then he's going to be like, what? That person? and it didn't work with her because like I'd say Sidney Powell and she'd be like, who the fuck is Sidney Powell?
I'm sorry.
No, I know.
I'll never be in the hospital again.
I'm just pointing out that we run in weird... No, take care of yourself first. If you ever need to go to the hospital, I will figure something else out.
You covered her getting her getting booked in the fucking
No, I didn't.
Trump election?
That was just today. Oh, you know what? We're probably missing out on viewers because the Republican debate started 15 minutes ago.
It's fine.
I actually considered turning this into a debate watch thing so we could like live comment on it, but I'm like, nah.
I'm gonna be honest. I used to love consuming debate content, but after a while, it started getting very, very. I don't like consuming debates anymore.
Yeah,
I can do them as background.
Yeah, like I could listen to a debate while I'm like doing the dishes or something, but like I've got so many other things to listen to. Like right now, I'm listening to Small Gods by Terry Pratchett, and then once that's done, I'll have a backlog of podcasts to listen to.
Yeah, yeah. And then my thing when I'm listening to debates is like I'm trying to keep a mental tally of everything person A has said. So when person B does their buttles, like, okay, did they address this? Did they address this? Wow, I'm getting exhausted, and I'm trying to passively listen to something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Small Gods is good. Anyway, so here the other issue here is he doxed the people that complained about him. It's like he posted about the case on Twitter, including documents given to him by the college that included identifying information of those who had made the complaints against him. So like that's a big old no-no.
I feel like that should be an
I feel like that should
like you don't get training anymore. Like you've automatically shown you've tipped your hand as to the way you're going to handle this from now on.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's posted like he's doubled down on this. He like one of his recent posts was like, "I'm gonna make this whole thing public because free speech." It's like, okay, fine, make it public, but like there are certain things you don't make public. Like when you have a massive platform and your fanboys are going to be like piling on and harassing people that they think are giving you a hard time because they filed a legitimate complaint against you, like maybe don't publish their names and addresses.
Yeah,
that looks bad on you. That looks like you are sending your people after them.
J Bond Boy in my chat just went stochastic terrorism arc when?
No comment.
That is how you start stochastic terrorism. Oh, won't somebody rid me of this meddlesome heckler? Like that statement is one that's designed for that, and that's how that happens.
We know where Justice Thomas lives, just saying. Michael DeCino says, first time catching you live, love what you both do. If you watch Rationality Rules, he does a good job deconstructing Jordan. I'm sure he does. I don't really watch him. I don't really watch anyone anymore.
That was a weird thing that I think that is just kind of the thing that happens with all of us. We make the kind of content that we do. The last thing we want to do is watch other people making the same kind of content that we do.
That's the thing is like I started my channel because there was a vacuum of like there were a bunch of atheists who made content like mine, and then they all moved on to other topics, and I was like, oh, there's a vacuum. Okay, I guess I'll fill it. I will make content. And so like I make the kind of content that I like to watch, but because I now am so inundated in making it, I'm like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I'm tired of this shit.
Yeah,
like sometimes like okay, so last week I accidentally uploaded a video that the video portion of the video was just black. Like it was just blank. There was nothing there. It was just audio, and that happened because in the process of making my videos, and this was just like redoing a video that I had done before, so like it shouldn't have been as bad with this one, but like in my normal videos, in the process of making them, like not only do I have to write down the words I'm going to say, I then have to say them, I then have to like watch myself say them, I then have to watch myself say them again. Sometimes there are issues where like if YouTube disagrees with me about whether or not it's ad suitable, I have to go and watch it again to find out what might have triggered the ad thing, because YouTube doesn't give you a timestamp for what was wrong with it for ads. It just is like, nope, we don't like this one. So you got to watch the whole thing again to figure it out. And so like by the time I've watched my video like 3 or 4 times, I'm like, I don't want to watch someone else making similar arguments to this. I'm done with this for now.
You also there's always that little bit of paranoia that you're going to end up parroting something that somebody else said, and just
if
not
I'm
saying it as well.
So if I'm responding to a video that I know other people have responded to, I will actively avoid watching whatever other response video. Like there was one of those 10 questions for atheists videos that went semi-viral a couple of years ago, that like everybody did response videos answering those 10 questions, and I was late to the game with that one. and like by the time I got mine out, I think Zod had already done his. I don't think Paul did that one, but like there were like 3 or 4 other people that I, occasionally actually watch their videos that had done responses that was like, I'm not gonna watch their responses so that I can come up with my own.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus. It's just it feels weird too, because like I'll get people who come into chat and they're like, hey, did you see the most recent thing that Telltale did? Or did you see the most recent thing that Paul did? I'm like, no. And it's not that there wasn't a time where I didn't used to watch every single upload. There was. And then these people went, and it includes you as well. Like everybody went from person I watch and look up to person I consider friend. And like when that shift happened, that was around the time that I just stopped consuming the content. It sounds counterintuitive, like, yes, we're good friends, now I'm no longer watching your shit.
Yeah, no, that happens.
But it's how it's been for just about everybody.
Well, I don't watch your shit
know.
because when I tune into your shit, I end up seeing you riding a rat chasing pizza around.
Hey, that's because look, Pizza Tower is one of the video games that exists. It is a game.
Oh, my stream probably missed that because that would have been before I hit the button.
Fair.
Okay, so that's basically all we need to cover for Jordan Peterson. So moving on. This was working fine. God damn it. Where'd you go? Wait. There you are. Okay. I don't know why that didn't show up before. Everybody who's a member, send the tech emoji in the chat.
Rhino's doing everything in his power to increase engagement.
Yeah. I have to get better at that.
Let him cook.
You know what? I hear other, like, the podcasts that I listen to, I hear them promoting themselves and like, oh, you gotta sign up on Patreon, and they'll have like these long spiels about why you gotta sign up for Patreon and hear the benefits, and like they'll interrupt their own shows with these things asking for patrons, and I'm just like, I don't know that I could do that. I don't know. I have trouble with that. And like clearly it works because like they're doing well, they're doing okay.
So what I've gotten to the point is like, I think for me I've got the advantage of having the fan art section in videos, where like, because I have that little segment of time that always has to be dedicated to, this is the 1 minute that, you know, people who send in fan art get of me talking about their stuff. It's really easy for me to go, oh, and every time I'm done with that, I say subscribe, bell notification icon, Patreon. I say all that afterwards. And it's like, it's programmed in my head, but I know that there was a brief time where I had stopped doing the fan art section because I went to doing face cam all the time. And so I couldn't figure out a way to do it easily that felt natural. And as a result, I also forgot every other plug I would normally do because it's so programmed into me from when I was doing edited content that no, that comes after the fan art section. When I don't have that, it's like my signpost is missing.
Yeah. Speaking of fan art section, if you join my Discord, I have a fan art section in there. So all of the Cirrus artist people that like to do fan art stuff, you can throw that in the Discord. All the weird people who link draw
is
in the doodly-doo.
Weird things with me and Rhino together.
I like I know you. Okay. So this is, I wonder with you sometimes how much of your annoyance with this sort of stuff is just you putting on an act because that's what's expected of you. Because like, I see people doing stuff like that and I'm like, that's cool. I like it. Like, I can't fathom being like, oh, I can't believe you did that. Ah! Like,
I think it's, so for me, it's like, there's fan art that I look at and I'm like, oh, that looks so cool. And then there's fan art that's me like rimming you with a string bikini. And I'm like, that's also cool. That's different.
That was a good, okay, that was a good piece of art. They put skill into that. They spent potentially hours of their life perfecting the details on that. They did a great job doing it.
I'm not saying that
yeah,
there isn't
that's
skill.
that's not necessarily the position
Rhino,
that I want
I
to see
hired-
an art of myself in, but like they put a lot of effort into that, and it was good artwork. Like
The person who did that one, I ended up hiring and paying money for them
Okay.
to do animations on my
There you
channel.
go.
Because they are a good artist and they did good work.
yeah, and I can
But I'm not-
appreciate the art for what it is.
There's still a part of me that just I'm just scrolling through Twitter and I'm just like, oh, there's me fucking myself with a jelly dick. Okay.
And if you want to draw me as a jelly dick fucking Cirrus, go ahead and drop that in my fan art section. I don't know. Does Discord have safeties for that?
Discord has safeties for that.
Okay,
They'll hit you with a like, this is inappropriate, but what I've figured out to do for stuff like that is that, like, hey, if you want to have something NSFW and you throw it on like Twitter or Tumblr or anything, you want to send me the link, I'll at least know it exists. Whether or not I can put it in the fan art section is another question entirely.
Okay. Okay, so maybe don't throw that in Discord.
I did use actually one of those porn pictures recently for a thumbnail. One of my thumbnail artists used it for a thumbnail because Dennis Prager was talking about hentai.
Nice.
I was like, this is a perfect video for this. This is amazing.
Okay. Third news item. Atheist group. Okay, so I took this from the Christian Post. So
we're going to get their perspective.
Well, here's the thing, though, is the reason I chose this one is because I think they're being insidious with this one. Because, like, the headline, atheist group demands South Carolina school district stop praying at board meetings. Like, that's an inflammatory headline. You read the first line, says, a prominent atheist organization is again demanding that a South Carolina school district halt its practice of opening official meetings with prayers from board members. And then the second paragraph, the Freedom from Religion Foundation has asked the Somerville-based Dorchester School District 2 to discontinue its practice of allowing school board members to open its meetings with Christian prayers. So, like, that's basically as far in as most people read. So you get the inflammatory headline, you get the inflammatory first sentence, and then just kind of
the details.
A factual, detailed third sentence. Fine. When you actually like read the article, it's like boring and level and middle of the road and just like normal reporting. Like they quote the FFRF staff saying like board members are free to pray privately or to worship in their own time in their own way. However, the board ought not to lend its power and prestige to religion or to coerce attendees into participating in religious exercises. That makes perfect sense. That is excellent. That is the atheist point. That is all we want. Don't coerce people that don't agree with your religion to do your religious shit.
Yeah, don't do the whole, like, all right, everybody, let's bow our heads in prayer. In what?
Yeah, and then they get the co-president of the FFRF. They quote her statement saying the school board should strive to be inclusive instead of indulging in exclusionary practices. So, like, yeah, don't exclude people who aren't the same religion as you because you are doing this overt thing that matches your religion. The school board exists to oversee a secular public school system that must be welcoming to all students and parents of every religion and of no religion. Perfectly reasonable. And this is the stuff that they're quoting, but nobody reads this far. They just read the inflammatory first couple sentences.
Yup.
And the invocations to start the open portions of the board meetings are not within the legislative prayer traditions that allow certain types of prayer to open legislative sessions. So that's where the, I guess, Congress opens with prayer or something, and so that's the tradition that they're referring to. But, like, this doesn't fall within that, which Congress shouldn't fall with it. There shouldn't be the tradition of opening legislative sessions with prayer. I think that's kind of dumb.
Yeah, because, like, I can understand taking, say, a moment of silence. That way, everybody can do what they want to do privately in that time.
Sure.
It's up to them.
If you think that praying before you start your job or whatever is important, then sure, you should be allowed to take a moment of silent prayer, or reflection, or meditation, or whatever the fuck you want, and that's fine. I got no problem with that.
But when you start going, all right, everybody, we're going to pray, and also we're praying specifically to this particular God and doing it in this particular way, I start having problems at that point because we're not in church. I did not consent to this if I did not go to a fucking church.
Yeah. And then what I found interesting was if you scroll down to the comments of that one, we get William saying, always a small handful of atheists from somewhere else complaining about this. Those same people couldn't find this town without looking at a map first. Okay, the reason FFRF knows about this is because somebody who lives in that small town and was at that meeting complained about it. And
so
even so, it's a small percentage of people. So what? That's like, isn't the Republican thing supposed to be all against the tyranny of the minority?
Yeah.
Like, you're not just because they're a minority doesn't mean you get to oppress them.
But don't they always say the whole like, we shouldn't have to kowtow to the minority if we're the majority? And like, it's not kowtowing. It's asking everybody to be treated equally. If you get to go, but 80% of us are Christian, so we're going to have a prayer, then you're making other people kowtow. If nobody has to do anything, then everybody's more equal.
So Taz says the article said the atheist group heard from a local the prayers were resumed last year. It wasn't a known until they were told and then thought they needed to become offended. The people that are upset don't even go to the meeting. So what is their reasoning outside of their disdain for God? It's like, but they heard from a local. It was the person that was at the meeting that got upset. That was like, hey, FFRF is an advocacy organization. Can you help me? I am upset by this thing. The FFRF didn't decide to get upset. They decided to help someone who was upset. And like, even if there wasn't anyone upset by it, the fact that it happens is like, it just shouldn't. John, finally, we got one that someone reasonable, but would it be okay if they started each session with a Muslim prayer? No, that wouldn't be okay. That would be equally as not okay as starting with a Christian prayer.
You should,
because if you start with a Muslim prayer, that's exclusionary to the Christians. You start with a Christian prayer, that's exclusionary to the Muslims. Are Muslims a majority in the country? No. Does it matter? No. They have the same rights as everybody else.
This is why my brain always goes into retaliatory mode, where I start trying to figure out like, what's the way to do the thing that they want done, but just
malicious compliance.
Yeah, but just slip under the radar, just maliciously comply. And it's like, oh yeah, just LARP being Christian until they let you be the one who leads the Congress in prayer. And then when you lead them in prayer, it's to bail.
Yeah.
And then everybody's going to get up in an uproar, but you played by the rules. You did everything correctly. It's them who, like, if they didn't want the game to be played by those rules, they should have written the rules differently.
Yeah. All right, so anyway, that's it for that one. Let's get on to some tweets, shall we?
No, I refuse. God, why do we have to begin with bananas?
It's Ray Comfort.
You can't very far. Bananas up there.
Okay. So Ray Comfort says, the agenda of the enemy is to break down the biblical standards of morality, and in human beings he has more than willing helpers. So yeah, the agenda of the enemy is to break down the standards of morality that allow for slavery, treat women as property, rape as a property crime against not the woman but the father or husband of the woman.
If you live with an abuser, if they're Christian, it's okay.
Children should be executed for disobeying their parents.
Happy are those that dash their children's brains on the sidewalk.
Oh, that was a psalm. Though,
oh, sorry,
sir.
It was somebody else's. But wait, Rhino, that passage is 2 times in the Bible. Once as a psalm and once elsewhere as not a psalm.
Well, I don't recall there being a happy as he who dashed the children against the rocks being outside the Psalms. However, there is a proverb saying that, basically, spare the rod, spoil the child isn't directly a proverb, but it is very closely based on a proverb. So, yeah, child abuse is advocated for in the Bible. Yeah. No, you know what? If the enemy is happy to break down these heinous standards of morality, then I'm going to have to side with your enemy, right? Devil seems like a good guy.
And there's Christians who get pissed off when you say that, but it's like, if we tally up the things that are being allowed, just from a raw reading of the Bible with no hyperbolization or like this one's actually poetic, this one's actually metaphor, this one's actually just a small parable. It doesn't mean anything. Like if you just have the raw meaning pulled out, Bible says some pretty heinous shit. Maybe we don't want that.
Well, here's the thing. Like, yeah, you can excuse it by saying, like, when Jesus said to bring my enemies before me and slaughter them. Like, yeah, that was in a parable, so he was not speaking literally. However, the thing about parables is you can make them whatever the fuck you want. You could have chosen to not make it violent language that says you're supposed to, like, kill non-Christians. But, like, you chose not to. And if Jesus is God, he knows everything. He knew that him saying that would cause people in the future to then kill people in his name because Jesus said to bring my enemies before me and slaughter them.
And if the argument is going to be, no, that wasn't the intention, that how could
anybody
have known? But he's not.
He could have chosen to use words. He could have chosen to use words that wouldn't lead to that. And yeah, he's not the author of confusion. Bullshit.
If you didn't want people to get confused by the things you said, maybe you should have spoke with perfect clarity.
Maybe. That would have been nice. Okay. Gary M. Parcel. Okay.
I don't know this one, actually.
So, I'm fairly confident that this guy's just a troll. But I thought this one was funny enough that I decided to include it anyway. But, yeah, I was going through his thing, and if he's not a troll, he's abusive as fuck towards his wife. But, like, he advertises these books that he's written, but I can't find anywhere to buy the books. And he, like, his banner on his Twitter profile is like, order this book now, but there's no link for where to order it, and when you Google it, you can't find it. His profile picture, when you actually enlarge it, it looks like it was made by AI. Mm-hmm. So and he just joined in August, so like he just joined Twitter in this month. Who the fuck is joining Twitter right now? Ain't nobody joining Twitter right now.
Joining Twitter and then immediately paying for Twitter Blue.
Yeah, so like, I am 95% certain that this guy's just a troll, but this one was funny, so I kept it. It says, wives, if you are married and still maintaining deep friendship with other women, watch out. The threat of lesbianism when your husband may not be acting the way you want is palpable. Don't let the threat of another woman into your marriage.
Wait a minute, hold on. So women can't be friends with other men because there's a chance they'll fuck them. Mm-hmm. Women can't be friends with other women because there's also a chance that they'll fuck them. So women just can't have friends.
Yes.
Isolate your partners.
Yes.
They are not allowed to go. They're not allowed to have friends. They're not. If you have a board game night, keep them locked in their room.
This is why I say that, like, he is like, and it's not an allegedly abusive. It's not a maybe he's abusive. He says things like, my wife doesn't have a cell phone. If somebody wants to get a hold of her, they can go through me. There are no clocks in my house. I'm the only one with a watch. So if anybody needs to know the time, they have to go through me. Husbands should do the grocery shopping because wives' place is in the home, not outside of the home. There's a chance for them to sin if they're grocery shopping.
They'll sin by grabbing the chuck roast ground beef instead of the 73% ground beef, and that made me spend an extra set of dollars, and that makes me angry.
I know people like that really do exist, but like the idea that one of them could be so public about it and not feel shame for it makes me think that this guy is like that adds to the like. I want to believe that he's a troll because I don't want to believe that a person that is this unashamed of that behavior exists. But also, there's a lot of evidence that he's just a troll.
Guess we'll see.
But, you know, the fact that he's worried about his wife leaving him for a woman made me chuckle.
Fennec says, this is some blessed be the fruit ass shit.
Yeah. Fennec said something similar in my chat. Just said blessed be the fruit. Case Orbs.
Hey, he's back!
He says, political polls make me laugh. The latest says that 25% say that Biden has improved the economy. Who are these people? Maybe the people that have looked at the economy numbers?
Case Orbs, like, the only reason the economy looks worse for you is you can't find work.
Yeah, poor guy. I mean, there is debate over whether Biden's policies are what have made the economy good right now or whether it's something else, but it is undeniable that the economy right now is better than it was under Trump. Like, yeah, there are some things that are more expensive, like gas and certain groceries, but like overall, like employment is up, unemployment is down, average income is up,
Gas being
Like-
higher also makes sense because the war in Ukraine is still raging.
Yeah, there's that too. Yeah, like
I
mean, an argument could be made that if Trump was still president, there wouldn't be a war in Ukraine, but the reason there wouldn't be a war in Ukraine is because Putin would just have like a more powerful puppet to play with Trump.
it's like the
So that's
freaking.
not a good thing. Oh, did you hear about the guy who? Did you hear about?
He wants to surrender Ukraine to Putin.
Yeah.
And then to surrender Taiwan to China the minute that they aren't making our microprocessors.
Because he loves dictators. Because he wants to be one. He idolizes them. But yeah, no, this reminds me, I wanted to kind of like, the news was kind of breaking while I was still setting up, and I didn't want to like change all my stories out for it.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't know all the geopolitical details, so I didn't want to screw stuff up. But the guy who led the coup in Russia recently, the head of the mercenary group or whatever that led the coup, he died in a plane crash today.
Plane crash, quote unquote.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I'm sure it was a plane crash. It's just a question of whether the plane crashed because it was a plane crash or whether the plane crashed because, you know, somebody pulled a trigger somewhere.
Is anybody... You just have the guy that gets up, all right, who here has pilot training? 3 people raise their hand, 3 shots ring out. All right, good. How many parachutes are there? There's 5. 4 shots ring out. Now there's 1.
Yeah, so...
Crash.
Whatever.
Species in my chat just goes crash, wink, wink.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, the economy is better, is what I'm basically saying. It's better under Biden. Whether it's directly because of Biden's actions is debatable, but like, you know, whatever accomplishments Trump had were definitely not because of him. Like, it was like he dumb lucked his way into a couple good things, but like most of the numbers were bad under him.
That's kind of how it normally is when Republicans get in office here. It's really weird.
Yeah. He's pretty reliable in that as well for the last like 50 years or so.
And it turns out that, you know, 50 years ago, a little over 50 years ago, the Southern strategy happened. So that checks out.
Funny that.
So weird how that worked out.
Yeah.
Everything started changing with Nixon and Reagan. Gee,
Yeah.
you
So you
think?
get another case orb says porn keeps men docile. That's why America refuses to ban OnlyFans. Like, I mean, they could just refuse to ban them because of like the First Amendment. Because like I feel like that's a freedom of speech kind of thing. Freedom of expression.
It is a freedom of expression kind of thing, but also I don't think porn keeps men docile. I'm actually fairly certain that some of the people who have gone on the worst tirades against particular groups happen to have a porn search history that includes the groups they hate.
Yeah.
I don't think porn actually keeps guys docile.
Well, I mean, an argument could be made because like violent sexual crime rates did excuse me. The rates of violent sexual crimes did drop around 1994 when the internet started happening. And like it dropped pretty consistently with ease of access to the internet. So like there is something to be said for, you know, men who have aggressive sexual tendencies don't express those tendencies in criminal ways when they have easy access to legal ways to express them. But like, I mean, that's not an argument for banning OnlyFans.
That's an argument for having a government stipend for OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's an argument, like free porn for all. You get $50 a month to spend on OnlyFans. Choose your creators.
I actually think this is a good policy. We should advocate for this.
I'm totally on board with that. 100%.
I'm not doing this just because my partner has an OnlyFans, I swear. Ingester says, how dare you show me this smut? How dare the internet algorithm recommend me this filth based on my previous viewing habits?
Yeah. Donald J. Trump is back. He says, rather than releasing the report on the rigged and stolen Georgia... Okay, so this was with regards to... He said he had irrefutable evidence that the Georgia election was stolen that he was going to release publicly in a press conference. And everybody was like, that sounds like a really bad idea, because we know if you actually had evidence, you would have presented it by now.
You would have used it when
Like,
you
it
were
was just gonna
worried.
It was just going to be a press conference where he was just going to be like, oh yeah, these people that I, like, all the indictments say that I'm talking shit about, I'm going to talk more shit about them. And so this is basically, I feel like this is his lawyers finally, like, getting some control over him. He says, my lawyers would prefer putting this, I believe, irrefutable and overwhelming evidence of election fraud and irregularities in formal legal filings as we fight to dismiss the disgraceful indictment by a public
That sounds like
publicity
what
and
you should have
campaign
done the
finance
first
seeking
fucking
DA.
time.
Yeah, no, if you actually had that, you just that's your response to the indictment. Is you like, here's my court application saying like, here's my irrefutable evidence or whatever, and then it still goes before a judge, and there still needs to be like a weighing of the evidence. And like, if you're going to a trial by jury, great. If you have irrefutable evidence, you present it at the trial, and the jury says, oh, that was irrefutable evidence, not guilty. But yeah,
where is
I
this
can
supposed
guarantee.
evidence?
Well, I mean, Mike Lindell has like 2 documentaries called like Absolute Proof and Definitive Proof or some shit. I don't know, whatever. But his Absolute Proof was like, he took a screenshot of like a flight map of like all the planes, all the flight routes or whatever in the world, and was like, see, you can, like, these arrows, they don't represent airplanes, they represent votes going out of the states and being flipped in this country over here and then coming back. So that was his, have you not seen that?
No, I haven't.
There's a moment in that documentary where he's got a voice modulator on because the person he's interviewing wants to remain anonymous, and they don't know how to do a voice modulator on just one microphone, so they do it on everybody, and he farts into the voice modulator. So you have a voice modulated fart in this documentary.
And nobody thought to cut that out in post?
No, they don't do that. They don't do cuts. Well, I mean, okay, no, there were a couple spots where his lawyers definitely came in and were like, nope, don't talk about Dominion, don't talk about Dominion. But, yeah, no, they don't cut things, largely.
Why?
I don't know, because he's inept.
I
He runs his multi-billion-dollar business worse than I run my Twitter stream that I've made $30 on so far.
Rhino hasn't made enough money on the stream, guys. You should give more money to Rhino.
Yeah, if you give me more money, I'll be more competent. No promises.
There might be some competency that is earned as a result, maybe.
No, you need to just go to the Ontario College of YouTubers and report me so that they send me to streaming rehabilitation
Streaming
camp or whatever.
therapy?
Yeah. So I learned how to be competent.
You can learn to be a better streamer.
Yeah, you know what? My kids go to a school that they run programs that they'll get like people that are local to like come in and do like basic, like, here's the basics of this profession for all the kids. And because like streaming and YouTubing and stuff is actually becoming kind of a mainstream profession, like it was suggested that like, oh, maybe I could come in and run one of those things. And I'm like, I just wing it. Yeah,
But that's the thing.
That's all I do.
Most YouTubers just wing it. Most of them do, and we're very good at winging it.
Yeah, it's the ones who happen to win the charisma lottery that make it big. Like, I'm sure if I was better at like reading statistics, I might be able to, like, my channel would grow a little faster than it does now. But like right now, I don't look at my analytics. Every now and then I'll pop in and be like, I wonder what this means. But like, there are companies that, like, there are YouTube companies that like they have people whose full-time job is to look at the analytics and be like, what does the YouTube algorithm want now? I'm like, I don't know what it wants. This is what I want to cover.
Yeah, that's basically what most of us do. We just like a thing, and so we talk about the thing.
Okay. Next up, we got Wendell. Wendell was the main character on Twitter, on atheist Twitter for a little while. I didn't get the one that everybody was responding to, but he had a syllogism that was like, premise 1, if God exists, then atheism is false. Premise 2, God exists. Conclusion, therefore atheism is false. Actually, I might have gotten that one. So let's just do this one first. So he says, so this guy, Nikolaus, says, like he was responding to a different thing in the thread. He's talking about like radiometric dating. Like, you know, we have rocks that are dated billions of years old, so the Earth can't be younger than that. And Wendell responds with, and 3 weeks ago, all the scientists said the universe was 13 billion years old, but now they claim it's 26 billion years old. But sure, those dating tools are great. There's a lot wrong with the statement.
For one, we're not using dating tools to tell the age of the universe. We're dating rocks on Earth.
Yeah, no, it's not radiometric dating that tells us the age of the universe. That's point number 1. Is that
these most of that just comes from analyzing red and blue shifts.
Completely different things. Point number 2, it's not that scientists are saying that the universe is 26 billion years old now. It's that one paper was published that said, hey, if we completely throw out the standard model that everybody uses right now and we use my model instead, then the universe is 26 billion years old. So like, this is very preliminary. The guy's got a lot of work to do if he wants anyone to take him seriously. It just made a big headline. It's like, oh, scientist discovers that the universe is twice as old as we thought, is a better headline than scientist might have figured something out. Possibly. If he does a bunch of work in the future. And it's just like, it's complete speculation at the moment, basically.
Yeah, it's so I haven't actually seen this paper yet. I haven't seen what methodology was used. I haven't read it. I actually don't know anything about it. But if the way you're describing it is accurate, then at least he's got part of the way that creation science works down. If we just throw out all the known ways to do this and we use mine, then we get different numbers.
Neuromptoput says crackpot suggests throwing out standard model is probably the correct headline. I might not be giving it a fair shake with this. Like, I've only read like one article on it and it was not very thorough and in-depth or whatever. So like, I might be treating it a bit unfairly. Like, maybe there's more to it than that. But like, no matter what, it could be the most robust thing in the world. It's got a lot of work to do before it'll actually change the consensus on the age of the universe.
Also, just going to point out that Wendell here seems to be under the strange idea that all scientists believe the exact same thing 100% of the time and never challenge each other on their own findings.
Yeah. So Regios sent a tip and said, come for the tweets and get free tech issues to ponder over. LOL.
Yeah.
That's my stream. All the members send a tech in the chat. Everybody who's not a member, become a member so you can send tech in the chat.
So I'm surprised I haven't actually found Wendell yet on
Have you not?
Twitter. No, I haven't.
Okay, so this was the famous one.
But I have seen this one.
Yes.
I have seen, never mind, I have seen him.
Okay. Yeah, so he says, if God exists, then atheism is false. God exists, therefore atheism is false. He says, if you object to this argument, then please state which premise and why. The burden of proof is on you.
This is
premise 2.
This is a way to just try to throw the burden of proof onto people who aren't making claims. That's what this is.
Yeah.
It's he thinks he's being very clever.
Oh, he does.
He's just like, I can't satisfy the burden of proof myself, but if I just say it in this way, then maybe the burden of proof will be on someone else. Like, no, I would say that premise 2
is an assumed conclusion.
Yeah, premise 2 is an assumed conclusion. Premise 2 is being delivered as if it were an axiom.
Yeah.
But premise 2 is too weighty to be an axiom or a brute fact. So premise 2 needs to be substantiated. If premise 2 cannot be substantiated, then you're fucked.
To be fair, this is a... I got valid and sound mixed up. I want to say this is a sound argument, but is not valid.
if memories,
Okay, I
been
get
so
them
long.
mixed up, but like sound and valid. One of them are like, if all of these premises are actually true, then yes, the conclusion follows. Whereas the other one is like,
so valid arguments can have false conclusions. A
Okay.
sound argument is where it's valid. It has to be valid, but it begins with premises that are actually true. So this isn't sound.
so this is a valid argument, but it's not a
it's not
sound
sound.
argument
Because one of the premises is false, potentially.
well, one of the premises is just assumed to be true for the sake of the argument. It's like, okay, support premise 2. Like, if you object to the argument, then please state which premise and why. I object to premise 2 because you snuck the conclusion, and that's called begging the question. That's a logical fallacy. So please demonstrate, please support premise 2. Figure out how you can demonstrate premise 2, and then, yes, this argument would be both sound and valid if you can demonstrate premise 2, which you cannot. Otherwise, you wouldn't need to make this argument.
Yeah. If God exists, atheism is false. God exists. Wait, hold on. But how many carts are being put before the horse here? At least 3.
Yeah.
I can see why this just went viral.
This is just like a definition. He defined atheism as being false, therefore he wins. And that's it.
Hey, we're back to Ray.
We're back to Ray. No, we're done. We're done for the night.
Hey, there weren't that many tweets this time.
There weren't. I suspected that the news articles might run long, and then the me forgetting to push the button didn't help.
Hey,
So-
it was fine.
So
It was fine.
I didn't choose as many tweets as normal.
Fair. That is fair.
All right. So thanks for joining me. Everybody, remember, Discord link is in the description. Members get emojis. Send me money because I'm greedy. No, I'm not greedy. I've got 5 kids that need to eat.
They're the greedy ones.
They are the greedy ones. Oh, okay. And as always, fuck off.